Whoa, whoa. Okay. All right. Hey, everyone. Good morning. How are you? My name is Asaf Gamzu. I work here at the Museum of the Jewish People. It's afternoon here. It's 4:45 in Israel. And today we're going to take a tour of the museum. I'm going to take you there. You're going to stay where you are, and I'm going to take you on the tour. Now, I want you to know this is a pilot program. You are the very first school to experience the museum virtual tour. So you are very unique in that. Now, from what I understand, you're in Indianapolis, right? You just need to nod, if I'm right. Very good. You're all nodding. You're excellent. Okay, great. And from what little research I did, I'm supposed to say like "Go Hoosiers." Is that right? No, you don't have any idea what I'm talking about. Okay, that's fine. I tried. I failed. We're moving on. Now, Michael, is there a Kahoot questionnaire?
Can I see it?
Okay, you didn't get it. The Kahoot was from Yael.
No, I didn't get it.
Okay, so never mind. So let's just move on. Okay, what we're going to start. We're going to see today the synagogue gallery here at the museum. Okay. Now, Michael, will it be okay if they write things in the chat?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So I'll ask you questions, and you can write in the chat boxes. Okay, because if you talk, there's like a big mess in the computer room. So just write. Is that okay? Nod if it's okay. Yeah, you're nodding. That's fine. Okay. So, reminder, I'm Asaf Gamzu. We're in Israel. I'm in Israel. Museum of the Jewish People. We're going to start with the synagogue. Okay? So, first of all, I'm standing right here. There is a replica of a synagogue wall from Syria, from what is today Syria, but was then 1,700 years ago, in 300 Common Era, more or less, was between two huge empires, the Roman Empire and the Persian Empire. Now, could you please write me if you see anything here that surprises you in the synagogue while I pass the synagogue wall? If you see anything that you're surprised to see in a synagogue, from what you know about synagogues and from the synagogues you may visit or you may know about, is there anything you find surprising to see here?
You can go to chat. Start typing.
Oh, why? So Chaya is asking, why is there an animal? That's a great question, Chaya. Thank you. So we have an animal, right? We have tons of animals. We have a tiger here. We have a tiger. We have this strange clown figure we actually know nothing about. We have more animals. We have even human faces, do you see, which we're not used to seeing in synagogues, right? Because, so basically, why a tiger, right? Those are great questions. So why a tiger? Why an animal, right? And I think another great question might be, why are there people here? Because I think most synagogues we go to don't usually have human figures. Am I right? So the thing is, there aren't usually, yes, I'm right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Avia. I'm sorry. Thank you, Avia. There aren't usually wall paintings in temples. You're very right. There is a lot of people that look non-Jewish. So all your comments are amazing. Thank you, Iris. Thank you, Alexis. Thank you, everyone. So I think you're very right in everything you're saying. And basically, I think what we need to first understand before we go into the gallery is that the way we think about temples and synagogues and Judaism is how we think about it in our day and age. But temples and synagogues were constantly evolving and changing throughout the years. And one of them is this synagogue, that they think it is okay in their interpretation to use human figures and animals. They, of course, won't draw God, right? So they won't draw God, but they would draw human figures. And you talked about how non-Jewish they are. So let me show you one specific picture, because all of these pictures are from the Bible, actually. All of these pictures are actually Jewish. We're just not used to thinking about them in such a way. So can anyone tell me, what do they think this ancient comic book is depicting? What story, what Jewish story, biblical story is in this in this picture, the first person to respond correctly will receive a golden star from me. Okay, so we have, yay, Iris, good for you. Chaya Moshka, when Moshe was taken out of the Nile River. Avia, when you part through the babies into the Nile. Oh, Harry, Passover, wonderful. Okay, so gold stars for everyone who answered. You all answered correctly. So this is the story of Moses, right? So this is the story of Moses. So we have little Moses here born and his mother. And we have his, I'm sorry, okay, so you can see this now. We have his sister, Miriam, taking him into the Nile. Then we have the box, all right, the little box where he was kept. And then we have the Egyptian princess, the Pharaoh's daughter, bringing them out of the water. And then we have him growing up as part of Pharaoh's court. Now, actually, Moses, not surprisingly, stars in this wall. We have him also up here. This is Moses in front of the burning bush. You see the sandals. We have also here, we have the Exodus, right? We have from Egypt through the Nile, the Red Sea, and onwards towards Israel. Now, one last question. I want one last story, and I would love for people whom I haven't seen yet. So I would love for if Sophia, maybe, or Orly, or Chava, or Alexis could also, or Eliezer, or Ricky, or Kobe, or Maya, or another dude there who's called HHAI. I would love for them to also participate. So this is another story of a holiday, and tell me what holiday do you think this is? I'll give you a hint. In the Jewish calendar, this is before Passover. Purim! Yay! Very good. Okay. Listen, you're just awesome. All right, I got everyone. I got Eliezer, I got Kobe, I got Alexis. You're great. You're just awesome. Good for you. Okay, so this is the story of Purim. We have here Mordecai on the horse, and we have Haman taking him, and you can see Haman is not enjoying this, not one bit. And we have Achashverosh's court, Xerxes' court. This is him getting a message, and this is Esther, the queen. Now, actually, when this wall was excavated in the 1950s, no one thought this was a synagogue, exactly like you did. No one thought this would be a temple or a synagogue. They thought maybe it's a Byzantine church, something. But then, you know what they discovered? They discovered this, the menorah, and the temple, and the story of Isaac. And that's when they realized that this is actually a Jewish synagogue, and that all the pictures here are biblical pictures, and that these are stories that this community wanted to convey to their children, their Jewish education, just like you. So now we're going to go to another synagogue, a synagogue that also has a story right in it, right as part of the architecture. But we're moving closer to home. We'll be moving along the tour closer and closer in time and space to your home. And we're going to go now to a synagogue in Curaçao. Curaçao is in the Caribbean. You know where the Caribbeans are? So the Caribbeans are a bunch of islands in between, between South America and North America, right, in Middle America. So, south of Florida, Iris, thank you. You're very much right. So, we have here one of the first synagogues in the New World. It was built in 1730 CE. It is called Mikveh Israel Emmanuel. It's in the Caribbean. Now, I want you to tell me if you think this community is a rich community or a poor community. Rich. Avia, you're very right. Very right. You're right. They're rich. They are Dutch Jews that are making money from all the gold that is coming out of South America. All right? So they are Dutch Jews. They're also Sephardi Jews. Do you know what Sephardi means? You can just nod yes or no, like that, and I'll know quickly. Like, meh, you kind of know? Okay, that's okay. So Sephardi Jews, Sephardi Jews are Jews that that originally came from Spain or North Africa or Iraq and Iran, right? So from Spain all the way to Iraq, that is in the Sephardi tradition, and Europe, from Russia all the way to Britain, that is the Ashkenazi tradition. These are Sephardi Jews, and you can see they're Sephardi because they're sitting facing each other. Ashkenazi sit in rows. Okay, so you're very right. This is a rich community of Sephardi Jews, and Sephardi Jews were expelled from Spain in 1492. And they were expelled from Spain, where they had a very... Yes, Michael? I'm sorry.
I didn't know. I was there twice.
In Curacao?
Yeah, and by that time, but I was neither time I was allowed to come in.
Really? Why not?
Because on the first day it was on Christmas.
Okay.
Second time it was on Sunday.
Wow, I would think that those were the days this would be wide open. I would think these would be the best days to visit a synagogue.
All the workers are local Christians, so all the police.
Okay. But it's very good because I'm collecting funds to go to the Caribbean, so I should know that. I'll know when not to enter.
I was outside and I touched the door and everything, but that's all I could do.
Thank you, Michael. That's amazing. And if you have like any more details to tell us, I would love to know. So these are rich Jews who were expelled from Spain 250 years before and have now come into the New World. They're actually rich, they're successful, they're trading in gold. But let me ask you a question. Do you see any sort of marking of their Jewish identity outside? Look. Exactly, there's not a lot. And also, you see there's a wall here? See, there is a wall right over here. So what do you think that tells us about the relationship between the Jewish community and the non-Jewish community around them? They did not like Jews. No, because at the time they were not allowed to be Jews. They wanted to be private. Let's see other answers. Your answers are wonderful. They did not get along. They wanted to be private. Okay, so actually the answer is a bit more complicated than that, right? Because if they weren't allowed to be Jews, they wouldn't be allowed to build such a huge and magnificent synagogue, right? So obviously they were allowed to be Jews. On the other hand, like you said, we have a wall and we have no Jewish markings on the outside. But on the third hand, we also have just a little bit of Hebrew, here before the entrance. And that is because, well, not exactly no one liked them, but they had a complicated relationship, right? On the one hand, they were rich and successful. On the other hand, I think they were also a bit fearful because they remembered what happened to them 250 years ago in Spain when they're expelled. I'm sorry, so Sophia, can you, like how? So can you elaborate because I don't know exactly what you're asking. So Sophia, can you elaborate, please? Like, what they were afraid of an attack. Yeah, I think you're right, Harry. They were somewhat afraid of an attack. I think you're right. Okay, so Sophia, if you want to ask again, that's fine. I don't think I understood your question, but I want you to see something inside. You know what? We'll ask Michael. Michael, do you know what's on the floor here?
I know. I know it's a sand.
Yes, exactly. There's sand. Now let me ask you. There are 5 synagogues around the world where there is sand on the floor. Now, why would Jewish, Dutch, gold traders who have a ton of money, why would...
Okay, we lost. What happened?
I know.
Are you back?
Wait a minute, and I'm also going to write, why? Sand shows humility. Wow, wait a minute. That's, okay. Sand shows humility. Who said this? To show that they serve God. Maybe it was fact back then. Iris, that's a wonderful answer. These are all great answers. Okay, so they actually putting this sand for the same reason that they have these pictures there. The sand is there to tell a story. It's there to actually tell 2 stories. It's to constantly remind them every day of 2 stories that are important to them. So the first story is the story of their ancestors, the Spanish Jews that expelled from Spain. And the Jews that weren't expelled, that stayed in Spain, had to convert to Christianity. And sometimes in hiding, they wanted to keep on being Jewish. So they would go to the basement or to the attic, and the wooden stairs would creak. And they were afraid that people would know that they were going to pray to the Jewish God. So they would put some sand on the floor, right? So their sons and daughters, hundreds of years later, are putting a ton of sand on the floor to remember that story. But there is another story about sand and Jews and a journey, and I'm going to let you tell me what story that is. I'm just going to give you a small hint. Out of Egypt, wandering in the desert. Yay! You're amazing. You're amazing. So HHAI, you're amazing. Sophia, Avia, Iris, and Chaya, good for you. You're doing wonderful. You're great. So this sand is to remind them of two stories, of their ancestors in Spain, but also of wandering in the desert and basically saying, we know we're rich, we know we're powerful, but we're still on the road towards Zion, Jerusalem, Israel, or some sort of, just on the road, on the path. But now I want us to go even closer. So Mia, okay. HHI's name is Mia. Hey Mia, glad to know you. Okay, so we're now going to go and get even closer home. We're going to go to Toro, Rhode Island. Has anyone been to Rhode Island? No, that's okay. You still have time. I haven't been to Rhode Island either. Maybe one day. Okay, but let's say only if someone has been to Rhode Island, he can write, okay? Okay, so we're now in Rhode Island. Yes, I went to services in the temple. Wonderful. Iris, you went to service. Did you go to this temple maybe? Yep. Oh my God, Iris, that's amazing. Okay, so we're going to talk about this temple. Now, okay, I want you to notice something. This temple, it was founded in 1763 by Sephardi Jews. Jews from Spain and Northern Africa and Iraq and Iran, just like the synagogue we went. That it's old, it's not that old, okay? I'm old, it's not that old. So they went, so the same Jews from Spain founded the one in the Caribbean and founded this synagogue in Rhode Island, which is the oldest synagogue in Northern America, okay? It is still used today, you're very much right. So, but can you tell me maybe, do you remember, right, what is the seating arrangement of Ashkenazi versus Sephardi? Do you see they sit facing each other? So that is Sephardi. Now, there's no sand on the floor. There's no sand on the floor. Oh, Harry, thank you so much. I really appreciate what you're writing. So do you manage to see the trap door there? Do you see it? You see there is a trap door? No. Okay, so I'm going to try. Do you see there's a trap door right over here? Yes. Okay, why would there be a trap door? So basically it's the same as the sand. We're talking about a Sephardi community that is actually confident. They're in the colonies, they're under British rule, everything is fine, everything is great. And they build a temple, and this is a beautiful temple in colonial style. It's a nice building and everything is okay. But they're still a bit fearful because they remember what happened to their forefathers. So they build a trap door. But then something major happens. Something very scary. You know what happens? To keep safe in case of emergency, you're very right. What happens is the Revolutionary War. What happens is there is a new country. What new country? What does Rhode Island, who begins as a colony? It becomes a state as a part of the USA. That's right. And you know what happens when this community realizes that there was a revolution and some of them participated in it, some of them not, etc., etc. They're very afraid because they have no idea what the USA means. Exactly. They were scared. They have no idea what it means. George Washington is not just the first American president. He's the first president anywhere. No one in the world has ever been seen president. And in 1790, George Washington goes to a tour of the states. And the last state he visits is Rhode Island, because that is the last state to ratify the Constitution. And this community writes him a letter begging him to allow them to continue to worship God in the Jewish way. And do you know what George Washington answers? He answers, you do not need to ask me for things you already have, because in the United States of America, there is freedom of religion. And that is the first time, also in American history, that freedom of religion is talked about by the president, because only 2 years later will the Second Amendment bill be ratified. But now I want you to see, do you see there through the window a portrait of George Washington? So this portrait of Washington hangs there to this day. And to this day, there's a Chag, a holiday in this synagogue where they read the letter they wrote Washington and the letter that he wrote back. Now we're going again on a journey through time and space. We're going yet again. Oh, thank you, everyone. I'm really enjoying your comments. You're just awesome. You are wonderful. Okay. We're actually not that far away from Rhode Island. We are in the West, still in the West Coast. We're in Philadelphia, in Elkins Park. But we have moved almost 200 years forward in time. We're now in the 1950s. And this is a synagogue in Elkins Park, a suburb of Philadelphia. Now, what does this remind you of? Can you tell me? Just, whatever. This looks way more nice. It looks like a tent. It looks like a hut. It looks like a tent. That's great. Any more thoughts? It looks like a dome. Okay, so it looks like a dome, like a pyramid, like a tent. The building is unique. Looks like something, a later. I don't think it looks like a later. I think there was an autocorrect thing there. A lamp, a tent, a camping tent, a pyramid, a hut, an interesting synagogue. Okay, you're very right. So this synagogue was built in the 1950s, and it is built Chinese building, right? I get that a lot. It looks like a synagogue, Eliezer. Good to go. It is pointy. You're very right. That's not long ago. You're right. That's just 50 years ago, more or less. So, 60 almost. So, this synagogue was built by Frank Lloyd Wright. Frank Lloyd Wright is one of the most important modernist architects in American history. In this community, these are already Ashkenazi Jews that came from Europe at the end of the 19th century. And at first, they had a hard time in America. They settled mostly in New York, in Baltimore, in Washington, Philadelphia. But then 2 or 3 generations later, a lot of them have managed to get that American dream. And they're moving out of the cities into the suburbs. And they have this beautiful synagogue. Now, Frank Lloyd Wright wanted to have the Mount of Sinai. He wanted it to be a glowing mountain of light for this synagogue. And he built it from modern materials. I'm sorry, there's a question. I want to answer the question. Wait a minute. Why did they have a hard time? So we're not talking about this community. We're talking about their parents and grandparents. So imagine you're moving into a new country. You're moving to the United States from Europe, from Russia, from Poland, from Lithuania, from Belarus, and you're moving there, and you're basically not moving with a lot of money, and you're moving into places that are very crowded, and at first you don't have money, and you're trying to realize that American dream. And many times, that American dream will be your kid's dream or your grandkid's dream, right? Because that is the story of. Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, Michael, please.
Can I please mute Alexis for a moment? She was there with us a few weeks ago. And she was
yes, please. Yeah, of course.
She can talk in a moment.
Okay. So, Alexis, so
Okay. What should I?
Alexis,
Yes.
how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Okay, so were you in this synagogue?
No, I wasn't there. I went to Israel and we went to that exhibit, and that is my favorite synagogue.
Really? Wow. And what can you tell us about this? Why did you like this synagogue in particular? Why is this your
I
favorite?
I like the shape and modern because I like very modern things, and the architecture was very nice.
That's great. Can you tell us about something unique there that maybe we can't see in this model and that you remember because you were there?
No, I didn't go there.
Oh, you went.
I went where you are. I was standing where you are.
Really?
Yes.
Alexis, that's amazing. Oh, I'm just not realizing. Oh, that's great, Alexis. Okay, so did you, when were you here?
Like 2 weeks ago.
So did you go to the humor exhibition?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Ah,
We also went to
okay.
That's when we met.
yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't get that last sentence.
That's when we met. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Alexis was here and another student was here. That's when we all stuff.
Oh, that's amazing.
And they went
All right.
to have pictures and yeah.
Okay. So Alexis, if you want to tell us what were your favorite exhibits also in the humor and the Heroes Gallery, just send it and I'll try to get us there. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So Iris, it's perfectly fine. Next time you come, you can come to the museum. And everyone who's asking, Eliezer and Ricky, asking if that building is still being used. So this building is actually still being used. Yeah, it is a modern building. The Torah building is still used as a museum. The Curacao building is still used as a museum. And this building is also used as a synagogue. Also, if you can see from a bird's eye view, this is actually sort of a Star of David. Do you see it's like an hexagon. It has six points, right? It has a menorah here. So I've already asked you a few questions about the synagogues. So do you remember I asked you in Curacao if there are Jewish markings on the outside and what that means about the community? So what do you think is this community's relationship with the outside community? What do you think is their relationship when they're building this? Are they rich? Are they poor? What's their relationship? Tell me now about this synagogue in this community. Better than the one before. You're right. They look rich. Yes, you're very right. They are rich. The light. I think they're rich. Okay, so they are proud to be Jewish. Yes, you're very right. So they are an affluent community, and also you're very right. They're proud to be Jewish. But not only are they proud, because I think all the communities we went to today are proud to be Jewish. I think not only are they proud, but I think they can actually show and exhibit how proud they are. And they can have this wonderful and amazing architect, like the best architect of his day, come and pay him money and make them this synagogue. And they can come here and they can have menorahs on the outside and a huge Star of David, and they can really show off, right? Because they're proud of their identity. But not only that, they're in a good relationship with them around them. So they can do, right, like Mia says, they want people to know that they are Jewish. And I think everyone, you're very right. And I think they put their pride into the synagogue. What is the red thing on the bottom? Okay, so those are just stairs. You see, those are red clay stairs. Okay, it is very pretty. I agree, Avia. I agree. So basically, what you see here, what I wanted you to see is, first of all, the story of communities that are close to you, communities that have come from a far way and have come to America. I also want to see how important stories are in the Jewish tradition, but I also wanted you to learn how you can look at synagogues, also in your own, like every day, and learn about the community, be it your community or any other community. Just when you look at a synagogue, you can learn so much. You can learn about the social status. You can learn about economics. You can learn about history. You can learn about so many things just through looking at a synagogue. Like the synagogues we look here, but also synagogues in your life. Do they have any cool stories like the sand? So okay, wait, let me go to the Q&A forum and let me try and see. Okay, so they don't have a cool story like the sand, but it is very cool that they managed to get this wonderful architect to build them this synagogue, and also they are like the sand. This entire synagogue is also to remind of Exodus, but in this case, not of the sand, but of the giving of the Torah in Mount Sinai. How many people went to this synagogue? So this is actually a big synagogue. It can hold several hundred people, if I'm not mistaken, and people still go. Why are the stairs red? So the stairs are red because it's red clay, and it's just like a design choice. Okay. So now, Michael, do we have time for like how much longer do we have on this session?
5 minutes.
5 minutes? Okay, so so if we have 5 minutes, then I'm open to any questions, requests, any thoughts you have, and then I'll say I really enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it as well. I hope to see you again, and maybe we have more galleries. But now I'm open. I'm open to questions. So anything you want to ask, now's the time. Can we see the one in India? In Indianapolis. So I'm sorry, we don't have a model of the synagogue in Indianapolis. We just have 22 models here, but we do have in our databases many more synagogues. But thank you, Sophia. You're great. But yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. Exactly. We could build a new model. We can try. You know what? I'll send this up to management, and I'll tell them if they maybe want to build another one.
Things virtual world. We can have special programs that makes it. We can make virtual scenarios.
Really? To connect where? I'm sorry.
We have a special program that things in the virtual world, not the real world. Virtual.
Oh, okay, great. All right. Okay. Any more questions? Let me see if I missed anything. What was the name of this synagogue? So this synagogue is Beit Shalom in Elkins Park. It's not Firestorm, although that's a very cool name. I agree, but it's not Firestorm. Can we look at one more sculpture? Do you have? So someone asked if I have any from America. So everything we saw today, no, not everything. The first one was from Syria, but then the next one was from Caribbeans, which is in the Americas, and then Turo and Beit Shalom are from America, are both from Rhode Island and Philadelphia, which are in America. And you know what? I want to show you one last synagogue. I want you to see. This is a synagogue from Venice. You see, we have a gondola here, and this is the synagogue. Now, can you see it's a synagogue at all? No. Look. This is the synagogue. This is how it looks inside. You see? So they had to take an apartment and make a synagogue from 2 apartments in 2 floors because they weren't allowed to build synagogues. This is in the Renaissance in 1528. So on the outside, it looks like a regular house, but on the inside, it looks like a synagogue. And this was the synagogue I saw here 30 years ago when I came on my visit and my bar mitzvah to the museum, and I remember it to this day, and I'm now showing it to you. It is a hidden secret, and now it will be our secret. So I want to say thank you so much to everyone. This was great. I hope you are there, so you enjoyed it as much as I did.
You all enjoy it, guys. Yeah.
Wonderful. And maybe we can have another one in the humor exhibit. We'll talk about it. Okay? All right. All right, wonderful. Thank you, Michael. Let's be in touch and think about let's be in touch. And now, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
That is so awesome.